There's something I've been thinking about lately, and it's not an easy topic to talk about, but I think it's important, and that's performative Christianity. And before anything, I'm not saying this from a place of judgment. I'm saying this as someone who has had to check myself too, because if we're being honest, it's easy to fall into it, especially now where everything is visible, everything is shared, everything can be posted, recorded, or seen by other people. And sometimes, somewhere along the way, it becomes easy to focus more on how our faith looks than what it actually is. And that's where like a lot of the issue starts. Because Christianity was never meant to be something you perform. It was meant to be something that transforms you. Because performative Christianity focuses on the outside, and it's when your faith becomes more about how you're perceived, how often you post about God, or how you present yourself spiritually, and instead of what is actually happening internal. And that's like a dangerous place to be, because you can look like you're growing without actually growing. You could sound like you're close to God without actually spending time to Him. You can say all the right things and still not be living in it. And the scary part is people might not even notice, but God does, and He sees everything. And that's the part that matters the most. And there's a difference between expressing your faith and performing it. Expressing your faith is genuine, it's natural, it comes from a real place. But performing your faith often comes from pressure to look right, pressure to be seen in a certain way, pressure to feel like you have to prove something. And sometimes it even comes into comparison. You see other people posting, speaking, and sharing, and you feel like you have to match that in a way. So you start doing things not because it's coming from your relationship with God, but because it's what you think you're supposed to do. And without realizing, it becomes external. But here's a deeper issue. When faith becomes performative, it slowly disconnects you from authenticity, because now you're trying to maintain an image. And when you're maintaining an image, it becomes harder to be honest. It becomes like harder to admit that you're struggling, harder to admit when you're not where you say you are spiritually, harder to admit when you're still learning. And that's where growth gets blocked, because real growth requires honesty with everything about yourself. It requires humility. It requires being able to say, I'm not there yet. But if you are constantly trying to present yourself as already there, you lose that. And another thing that comes from performative Christianity, it's a like it's like pride in a way, like subtle. It's not always obvious, but it shows up in small ways. Feeling like you're more spiritual than others, right? Like looking down on people because they aren't where you are, or boasting about what you're doing instead of quietly living it. And that's something the Bible warns us about, not to do things to be seen, not to turn your faith into something about being recognized. Because the moment it becomes about that, the focus shifts away from God, and it's literally becomes onto you. It's literally just about you. But at the same time, that's where grace matters. And we should give other people who may be having or showing this form of behavior grace, and give ourselves grace, because we can all be guilty of it. Because not everybody who looks performative is doing it like intentionally. I have like times where I've done performative things within my faith and I didn't even realize it. Some people are just new to their faith, or maybe they're really excited and they have like uncontrolled zeal. Or some people are just still learning what authenticity looks like. So this isn't about like attacking people. It's about awareness and about checking your heart, asking yourself, why am I doing this? And is this coming from a real place? Am I trying to be seen in a certain way? Because the truth is, your private walk with God matters more than your public expression of it. Who you are when nobody sees you matters more than what you post, your prayer life, your thoughts, your obedience, your consistency. That's the real foundation. And if that's solid, the outside will naturally reflect it. You won't have to force it. You won't have to perform it. It'll just be real. And that's what makes it impactful, because people can tell the difference. They can see it. And you can feel when something is genuine, when something is just for appearance. And more importantly, God knows the difference, because he's all knowing. And so the goal isn't to stop expressing your faith. It's to make sure your expression is rooted in something real. And take your walk with Christ seriously. Not in a way that makes you rigid or perfect, but in a way that makes you intentional. Spend time with God when nobody sees it. Pray when there's no audience. Grow in areas that aren't visible, because that's where real growth happens. And when you focus on that, you won't need to prove anything to anyone. Your life will speak for itself. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Not how it looks, but who you're actually becoming.